Well, hi everyone. Welcome to another one of my videos. And you'll see that my background and my scenery is a little bit different. And that's because in the last video that I did, I had somebody comment and say, how did I make this planter? And I showed this in the kiln unloading, and it's a two-piece planter. And I actually have a piece of string to show that it's a self-watering planter. It's got a hole in the bottom and it's got a base, and this just fits in there. You put your water in here and this just fits in nicely, and it self-waters your plant, and there's a little watering hole in the base. So she asked me if I would demo how I made it. So that's going to be the purpose of this video today, is I'm going to show you how I made this. Now, this is not my design by any means. I wish I could give credit to the designer, and although I took a screenshot of it because I liked it, I did not get the person's name, so my apologies, but I'm not taking credit for it. But I can take credit for this one, but I'm not taking credit for the design. But anyway, so with all of that said, this is it, and it's got the string, and this string, before I get way into the video and forget to show it, I bought at Amazon, and this is what it is. It's ORIMERC, and it's 50 feet, and it's of just of string, and it's watering string. So it absorbs the water, obviously. It's like a wick, and it absorbs the water in the base, and then it just carries up in the hole that I make in there, and then you just kind of intertwine the top part of this into the soil, and then you just leave it. You just fill the base with water, and the water will travel up the wick. And that's pretty cool. So I won't dwell on this anymore, but this is what we're making today, and I have two pieces of, before I get started with that, this is the purpose of the video, but I wanted to revisit something also that I did in the last kiln unloading, and I had a lot of glaze run, and I talked about it, and it's the coyote rhubarb. And I ended up grinding it, and so it's usable. It's no longer dangerous with the runoff. And I used a proper grinder, and then I have a Dremel tool, and I tidied it up. And then I decided that I would test it to see if it can hold water. And almost right away, I got a little bit of a ring. And interestingly enough, it's not coming through the base of my pot, it's coming through the dimple. And I do remember that when I was making this and I made the dimples, you can see the moisture here on the side. When I made the dimple, there was a little bit of cracking, and I guess my pot was a little bit too dry. And so I just, rubbed it with my thumb, and the crack kind of went away, but I think that's the reason why I'm getting this little bit of dripping. So when I make another set, and I will make another set and we'll test it out, I will make sure that the clay is not so leather hard that when I do the imprint and I press in there, I don't get any cracking or whatever. Or what I can do is moisten the clay a little bit before I do the dimple. And anyway, so these are going to be pencil holders because they're not water. They're not going to hold water, unfortunately. The bottom is okay, and that's where I actually thought the problem was. And then on closer inspection, I could see a little bit of moisture on the side of the pot. And that's the only deduction that I can make, is just that, as I said, when I made the dimple, it must have weakened the side a bit, and therefore it's created a leak. And that's really too bad, because I really like them. But anyway, let me get back to the video at hand. I have 2 balls of clay. Let me put the camera down to my wheel, which is where I'll be doing this work. And anyway, I have 2 balls of clay. One is 1.5 pounds, and the other is 2.5 pounds. I do take fairly precise measurements when I'm making pottery, and I went back to my notes, and that's what I took. But I don't mind if I have too much clay for the base. I'm going to make the insert first, and then I'm going to make the base to make sure that it fits the insert, because the last thing I want to do is to have the base and then I tried putting the insert and it's too small. But anyway, 1.5 pounds and 2.5 pounds. So I'm going to put these aside. The tools I have is just a rib, whatever your favorite rib is. This works for me because it's not a particularly large piece of pottery. And then I have this Dolan. It's Dolan TCC. That's the name of the tool. And I use this after I make the pot, and I use it to make my bevel and do my undercutting. And a lot of people will use a wooden tool. And I used to use it, but I've been using this now for a couple of years, and I really like it. And it just gives me a really nice defined inner cut. And I can also use it to trim. I mean, it works the same as this, but I like to use this. So either one will work. But you want a cut-off knife. And then of course I have my sponge, and I have water here. You can't see it, and I have a slop bucket beside it. And I have 2 bats, so we're going to make the 2 pieces. So this is not a class for beginners. It is a class for somebody who's probably skilled enough on the wheel where you can center clay and make your cylinders. It's really what we're making is cylinders and modifying the cylinders. So I'm not going to go through this with the exact detail that I have done so in the past. I do get a very long-winded, but I will tell you what I'm doing, but I'm not going to go into the teaching. I'm going to presume you know how to center. I'm going to presume that you know how to pull the walls of a cylinder. So I'm looking for a rounded edge because I don't want to trap any air underneath, and I just slap it down on my bat, give it a couple of slaps, and I'm ready to go. My arms are anchored. I'm in a tripod. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pull in with my hand, and I'm going to push in there with this hand, and the clay only has nowhere else to go but into the center. So here we go. And the clay rises, and then whoops. Okay, so I've goofed already. I start over. That's better. What I've done now is created a seal down here so no water gets underneath. And we'll attempt to move my pot. And then I'm just going to cone up. Everybody has their own method of coning up. You can either squeeze the clay and the clay will go up. What I tend to do is grab the clay from here and I just pull it up. But whatever works for you. But you can see just by squeezing it, you can see how the clay goes up. And then I just squeeze it, pull it up. This gets the clay a little active, makes it easier, warms up the clay. Not literally, but figuratively, warms up the clay and gets it ready for me to be able to use it. So this piece now, I'm going to make it 4.5 inches wide, and I'm going to make it 3 1/4. I want it to be 3 1/4 inches tall, but I'm going to have to add about another 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, because that's going to be my lip that I'm going to turn over, and we're going to do all that today. Okay, so, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do something. Everybody has their own way. So what I do, I just make a little dip. I'm not really making a well, I'm just making a dip, which is giving me a guide for where my hands are going to go to make the well in the bottom of this pot, because I do want a floor for it. And all I do is I just push my fingers down, and I take my needle tool. I have a Zeem needle tool, and it's got this lovely scorer on the end of it. It's a great little tool. Anyway, I've gone down too far. I'm almost at the bat, so I'm going to take some of the clay on the inside here, and I'm just going to push it down, but I'm doing it from the right side, and you won't be able to see it into the camera. I went down a little bit too far, so I'm just pushing clay back down to make the base. Let me test it again. Okay, that's much better. Okay, I'm going to draw it out. Now remember, I want to go to about 4.5 inches wide. And I had my ruler, sorry. I had a different ruler, it's disappeared. It's interesting how your tools don't have legs, but when you get up to use them, you have them 1 second and then they're gone the next. I don't know where they go. Anyway, I just have my ruler, so it's on standby now, and I want to go 4.5 inches wide, and I'm going to go about a little over 4 inches tall. So whatever your way of opening up your pot, some people go that way, some people use their thumbs. I have my own way of doing it. It works for me. And then I'm just going to compress the bottom a little bit. I'm going to take a measurement now to see how I'm doing. So I'm at about 4 inches tall, 4 inches right now on the inside, but I know that as I go and pull up the sides, I can widen it up a little bit, but actually I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open it up just a little tips more. And that should be about 4.5. Now I'm just compressing the bottom. Okay. I'm going to lubricate the side. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing with my thumb here, and I'm going to put my fingers on the inside, and all I want to do is get rid of this bulge here, and I want to even out the thickness of my wall. And that's all this first pull is just, I'm not worrying about the thickness of the wall right now. I just want to get rid of that bulge and start the lift. Okay. So that's now, that's more than 4.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is, I won't have enough clay to create the piece. So I'm going to push in a little bit here because it's too wide. And I'm going to start to lift. You saw that little blip, but anyway, I'm just going to try and fix it. Again, that was, can't say a mistake. I made it too wide, so now I'm trying to cone it in to bring it in and make it a little thinner. Again, I want it to be about 4.5 inches wide. And now it's 4.5. I was at 5 and now I'm 4.5. And there's a little bobble here and whatever, but don't worry, I'll be able to work through that. What I want to do now is just make a straight up and down cylinder. Grab this clay and lift the pot up. I want it to be about 4 inches tall, and if it's a little taller, then I'll be able to cut that little bit of extra clay off. And it'll get rid of that little glitch right there. Okay, so now I'm at 5 inches, so we can take some of this off. You can make this any size you want. The most important thing is when you're making your base, is that you have to make your base deep enough to hold the pot so it can sit. There's a little bit of space between the bottom of the pot and the bottom of the base. So it really doesn't matter what precision you're making it. I'm just going on my notes and the measurements and stuff that I did when I made the first one, which is actually going to be a little bit bigger than the one I showed you on the display. But anyway, right now I'm just compressing the rim and getting rid of that pointed edge that I got when I used my needle tool to take off that top bit. But as you can see, it's running pretty nicely. I can do a measurement, and it's just a little over, I don't know if you can see there, but it's just a little over 4 inches. And this is 4.5 on the inside. So I'm really happy with the size of this pot. I'm just going to take out the excess moisture on the inside. I'm going to use my rib now, and I'm just going to smooth out. And I have my finger on the outside, absolutely opposite where the rib is. And I'm just going to go in, and all this is going to do now is just smooth out the inside wall. I've been very lazy about that for a lot of years, but I'm starting to pay a little more attention to that and getting a nicer finish on the inside of my pot. And then I'm going to go on the outside, and I'm just going to tidy up the outside. it's going pretty straight up and down. So I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. Okay, and I'm going to use this Dolan tool, like I said, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to carve away a little bit on the bottom. I can really get in there with that point, and this is all the extra clay that I have. So I just take it off and throw it out. And I think I'm actually going to use my my rib tool, and I'm gonna round this off just a little bit so it's not a pointed edge. You're not going to see it because it's going to be inside the outer pot, but it's just for my own personal aesthetics. And that's basically it for this part. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create the little flange here. Actually, I have a chamois, so let me just use my chamois, and I'm just pressing in there, and I'm pushing down on this so it compresses the rim a little bit, and it'll help keep it round. Help keep it round. That's kind of a silly thing to say. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bend over about 1/2 inch. And what I do is I line up a finger here, and I hold it very steady. And I take this finger here, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend the clay very carefully. And you can do it with a rib if you want. Or you can do it, but I'm just going to bend this clay now. And I go very slowly. And I just bend this down. I'm careful not to push in because I don't want this to go up and then like push in like that at the very top. So I'm very careful now. I'm not pushing in, I'm just supporting the clay that's being brought over. Now this clay is it's not hard clay, but it's not overly soft either. It's a really good throwing consistency so that I don't have the rim flopping down as I'm working on it. I try to make it fairly level, and I think I've done a pretty good job. So again, I'm going to get my chamois, and I'm going to just compress that outer rim. Alrighty. And here's the fun part. Now, I like the thickness. Now, I have learned over the years to throw a pot to the desired thickness I want. I can trim it, but right now on the rim, I think I'm going to leave it the thickness that it is. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to pick it up off my bat and have a look at it, and it looks pretty flat. So that's what it looks like. But what we're going to do now is we're going to put in that little ripple design. I'm going to do 8 of them, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to use this as my starting point, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to, as opposed to a spout where you lift it out and down, I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to put my fingers here for support, and I'm going to lift it up. Let me get my finger a little wet, and I'm going to go up. And then I'm going to go to the opposite side, do the same thing. Put my fingers on and my fingers are about 1.5 inches apart, and I'm just going to, can you see what I'm doing? Let me see if I can do it over like this. There, that's a little better for you. And I'm just going back and forth and creating a nice little curve. And I'll refine it and I'll get back to it and fix it up a little bit more. There's more work to be done as the piece dries. So now I'm going to take this corner, go across, and I'm going to do another one right here. Bring it in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just running my finger back and forth and lifting it up a little bit. Being careful not to push that down. I don't want that to go down any farther. Here's the 4th corner. Wet my finger a little bit. and make that little curve up. Right, so now I've got 4, and I'm just going to do now 1 in between each of these 4. So let me just do it quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So then I just have a look and I see how much I like it, if I can bring it up a little bit more. This is the best time to make the modification. I want that to go up, and I can even just use my finger and rub it up like that and try and get a little bit of a higher peak point. What I do to one, I do to all of them. This one looks a little low, so let's just rub it back and forth. And you're going to ask, how do I trim this? So I have a bat with a pad on it. I think I bought that through, I don't know where I got it. I'll show it to you. And when this gets to leather hard, I can turn this upside down and it won't hurt. It won't hurt these pieces. So now, as I go through it, and I will watch it through the day, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit now and just kind of clean up with my sponge. I'm barely touching it, but just enough. The more effort I put in now is less work later on in the process. And so that's the lid. You can see. So what I'm going to do now is just give it a final inspection and make sure everything is okay about it. I'm going to put it back on the wheel now, and I'm going to, I have an underwire, and I'm just going to pull it through. And I'm leaving it on the bat. I do that now for most of my pieces. I'm just going to clean off the excess sludge on the bat. And I'll let it dry on the bat. And that way it won't warp, it won't do anything, it'll dry really nicely, it'll keep round. There, and that's it, that's the top. So there you go, but the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my caliper. Sorry, I should have mentioned this, and I apologize how dirty it is. I'm going to take my caliper and I'm going to measure the widest part of this pot. Whoops. And I definitely want to make sure that I've got it up here at the rim, because this is the outer pot, this flap here, the outer pot is going to sit underneath it. So this is going to be where it sits. So I definitely want to make sure, and I give myself about 1/4 of an inch extra. So now this is the width. This is now going to be the width of the base. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And now we're making this piece here, okay? And this will go very quickly, because I don't need to go through all of the steps. It's the same principle as starting the liner, is I'm just going to attach or set down my clay. Going to create a seal here so water doesn't go underneath it. Squeeze in with this hand, in with that hand. The clay has nowhere else to go but into center. And I got a bit of a ugliness up here at the top. So what I do actually now is I just press down with my hand, press on the side, and I fix up that point until it's really nice. I'm not worrying about down here, I'm worrying about right up here for my cone. Okay, press my thumbs down. And even if I have that excess, what I can do, well, you can use a rib tool or whatever, and you just pick that up. Get it out of the way. and then it's no longer a bother. Okay, reseal the bottom, squeeze in. I want to cone up my clay, get my clay warmed up, get the molecules moving and working together. Now this base, I'm going to make it 5.5 wide and 4.5 inches tall. So it has to be taller. Okay. The inside of this has to be taller than this, than this. So I can even measure this now. And it is 3.5 inches tall. So I definitely want to make the inside of this piece at least 4.5 inches tall. Okay, and this is 2.5 pounds of clay, like I stated at the beginning. I want the base to be about 5 inches wide. Measuring it, funny enough, I'm exactly 5 inches wide. Because remember, we're going to make this shape. Let me put it, can I get it in the picture? No, I don't think I can put it anywhere in the picture where it's not going to interfere with what I'm doing. All right. All right, so again, I use my little finger and I just make this well. I hold my hand here for at least 5 revolutions so that I know that I'm in center. Then I just push down, get down to where I think I've got about 3/8 of an inch in the bottom. And I'll show you what I have. That's what I have, sorry. That's how much I have, and that's probably about 3/8 of an inch. So I like that, and I'm happy with how thick that bottom is. So now I'm going to pull this out. Again, use your own method. You don't have to do it the way I do it. Okay, and then I'm going to compress the bottom. And I always go back and forth. I never go just one way when I'm compressing the bottom of a pot. But I'm sure you all know that. And we'll come back in. Okay. All right, so let me measure it. I want this at least 5 inches, and I'm 5 inches on the inside, which is good, because that's going to be wider than that. Again, let me see if I can slide. Well, yeah, I can slide over. Here, I can just move my pedal. Nobody says I have to work at that particular spot, but here's where I go. I press in here, pressing in with my thumb, grabbing a little bit of clay, but all I want to do right now is just even out the thickness of this wall. Okay, I see a little bit of a wobble. I'm not worried about it yet. I'll probably be able to fix that. And if I wanted to, all I have to do is just put my hands in like that. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I take my finger, my middle finger, I slow down the wheel. I want to take this clay, I want to push in there, and then I'm just going to bring my 2 hands up simultaneously. You see, I'm not even moving them. I'm just bringing them up together, not changing their thickness, not doing anything. When I get up to near the top, I kind of release the pressure, but I'm not necessarily releasing or moving where my fingers are. Compress the rim. I don't always do it, but you're supposed to compress the rim after every pull. I'm not very good at it, but anyway. Alrighty. So again, I want this 5¼ inches tall. So I'm now at 4 inches, so I need to bring it up another inch, which won't be difficult because of the thickness I can feel in the wall of the pot. So again, I'm going to push in a little bit here, grab some of that clay, press my fingers together, and just pull them up. Careful not to go too fast. Now I've probably gone more than 5 inches, but remember we're going to modify this pot. Okay, that pole took it up 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to go, and I'm going to be careful on the rim here. Just fix up the rim, compress it a little bit. Okay, we're going on half an hour, you guys, and I'm sorry. I was hoping to have this all done in half an hour. But I'm almost done. Okay, I'm just taking out the water that's in the bottom of my pot. I'm going to make sure. Okay, so this is the width that I have to have an opening for. So I'm good with this width. I'm good with the base. Now all I need to do now is just modify the side of the pot. And I will get my rib tool. Okay, you see? Oh, there it is. It's hiding under a sponge. So what I'm going to do now is use my inside hand now. And you can see right here where I'm pushing out with my inside hand. I want to support my hands when I can, and I just want to get this now straight. Where before you saw it was a bit of a curve. Now I want this straight. Okay. So now we're going to alter the pot and give it that shape that we're looking for. It could stay like this. There's nothing wrong with staying it like that. You can create the base any shape you want. You just have to make sure it's taller and wider than the inner pot that you're putting on it. Because remember that the fluted rim is going to sit on this part here. So this is the most important measurement here. So now I'm going to pull this out and start to make that same design. And then I know you're probably saying, what a wobble. Oh, look at how it's coming back. And I'll hold this here for a little bit and make sure I get that round again. Give it its memory. Okay, so you can see how we're starting to get that shape. Let's do it again. Okay, I'm going to switch to the top part now. And there we go. So we want this to be, what did we say? We wanted it 5 1/4 inches on the inside. It's actually 5 1/2. Might be a little bit too wide. Let me see on this. Actually, it's quite perfect for my calipers. Slightly wider, but that's okay. I'm going to remeasure my pot. Okay. I think I'm going to bring it, see if I can just bring it in a little bit. And I'm going to use my rib to do that. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure here and let this go around, maybe about 10 times. I'll use my caliper again. That's better. Okay, so that's it. So I've made the top and I've made the bottom. And what I can do is just check the depth to make sure that the liner isn't going to be too deep. So what did I say? It was 3 1/2 inches tall. So there's the 3 1/2 inches, and I'm going to put it in there, and you can see, well, you can't see it, sorry, I've got the bad camera angle, but I have about a good inch, probably 1.25 inches between the bottom of the ruler and the base of this pot. So this is a perfect size pot to go with the liner. And I'm just tidying it up. Again, I'll use this Dolan tool. I can just go around and trim away that excess clay. Now because this is holding water and stuff, I don't mind the walls being a little thicker. And this is going to be a really nice pot. So again, I'm just going to, while I can, just tidy it up a little bit. And it's good to go. So what I'm going to end up doing is when I trim it, I'll just trim the bottom and I'll make it really nice. I will use a hole puncher. I don't know what you call them. The tools that you make big holes. And I will, in fact, I'll show you what I have. It's right here. So I'll use this tool here and I'll create the hole that goes here on the side. And I'll do that when it's leather hard after I trim it. And that's it. So again, I've done the beveling here, and I'm just going to run this through like that. Last thing I'm going to do is just tidy up my wheel and my bat. And that's it. So there's the base, and this is the liner. And here the two pieces are. And if you like, I will be more than happy to do a very quick trimming video. But today is the start of PlayShareCon, so it's kind of really exciting. I got involved. I've been watching PlayShareCon since its inception, and that's what made me join PlayShare, because I said everything that I learned at PlayShareCon was way worth the price of buying a Prime membership. You can't get instruction like that anywhere, anyhow, from potters with the skill level of the people that Jessica brings into her team. And sorry, I'm just looking at the bat while I'm just cleaning my bat. My wheel. Anyway, so that's what I did, and I joined ClayShare Prime because just the wealth of information I got from PlayShareCon was well worth the membership price of, I don't know, well, I bought it at $99. I'm grandfathered into $99 a year, but I think it's now $129 a year. Well worth it if you're not already a member. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching my video today. I really appreciate your support, and again, a video of a different nature, and in a couple of days or later on in the week or over the weekend, I will post a video where I'm actually trimming the pieces, and it'll only be not even a 10-minute video. So look forward to seeing you then. Thanks a lot, everybody. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe. I do a lot of kiln unloadings. But occasionally somebody asks me, well, how did you make that piece? So now I just showed you. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for your support, and many blessings. Have a great day.